Hi guys, Thom Hunt here in the kit room, and today's subject is going to be around my 3 favourite baits for springtime. Now this is an absolutely amazing time of year. I love it. Everything's coming to life. Pike have already spawned. They've finished, they started spawning kind of mid-Feb, end of Feb, through to about now, through to mid-March, end of March. So they should be finished spawning, which means they're going to come back on the feed soon. They're going to be post-spawn. They're going to be a bit tatty. They've been fighting, biting each other, roughing each other up, and they're going to be a bit on the skinny side. So very, very soon, they're going to be back on that feed, looking to put condition back on. The perch, however, they often don't start spawning until we're at least into about April time. So they're still going to be pre-spawn, and your Zander are probably going to be a bit pre-spawn as well. Perch and Zander tend to spawn at about the same sort of times. So yeah. What that means is, though, that whether you're post-spawn, pre-spawn, they're all around the spawning areas, and the spawning areas are always going to be the same. They're going to be often northern banks, because a north-facing, or a northern bank is south-facing, so it gets sun all day, which means it's generally a degree or 2 warmer. You want to look for shallow bays, shallow areas, and you want to look for reed-lined or areas that you've got vegetation. In particular, if there's anywhere that's actually got a bit of silt, if you've got anywhere that's got leaf matter that comes down and mulches down over, leaves get dropped in sort of October time, that dark areas are actually the first ones to warm up. If you can see the bottom and it's dark, black absorbs light, absorbs heat and energy quicker than anything else. So it's actually going to warm up better than, say, sandy or gravel banks. Really, really interesting point that. But if you've got vegetation, if you've got reeds, those types of things, shallow areas on a northern bank, that is where you're going to find your spawning bays. All right. So first of all, get up into those shallow areas. That's where they're going to be. And the pike will have been up there for a bit. The perch and Zander will be moving up there soon. And then, to be honest, after that, you've then got the roach and bream coming into the same bays, often to spawn in those same or similar areas. So to be honest, the predators are now going to stay shallow really until it gets quite hot. So I would say from now until about June, mid-June, I would be targeting most of my fishing in less than 10 foot of water, definitely. So let's move on to these baits quickly. 3 baits are chatterbaits, spinnerbaits, and crankbaits. What have they got in common? High vibration rates, aggressive, tend to be fished best when you fish them medium to quick, and they are excellent reaction baits as well. All right, so I'd call this power fishing. We're not finessing, we're not Ned rigging, we're not fishing small shads, we're not fishing drop shot, none of those finessey methods. Like, as the water warms up, my #1 rule is always use power baits when everything's on the up. So even applies in winter. I get that question asked quite a lot. When would I use power baits even when the water's cold? Now, if you've got a January day, or you get a warm front coming through, so they're often accompanied with storms, a bit of rain, low pressure, but the temperature goes up. Often you've got 10, 12, maybe 14 degrees sometimes in the day, and overnight won't get super cold either. It will be, often 5 or 6 degrees overnight. You don't get those frosts when those warm fronts come through. When that happens, you will get bites on these, because the water temperature is coming up. Even if it's only 3 or 4 degrees and it creeps up to 5 or 6 degrees for a few days, that instigates a real feeding response and their activity levels come up. That's when you want to use power baits. At this time of year in the spring, we're definitely on the way up, and we're on the way out of, we're just getting into the beginning of April. So I would say we've probably seen the last frost. There might be one more, but we're certainly not going to be getting a huge cold snap that comes through, drops that water temperature again and puts them off. I think we've got a steady rise from now, from mid to the end of March, all the way through to about June, should be steady, which means these baits are going to apply. So let's get into it. Let's start with chatterbaits. A chatterbait obviously has a blade at the front, plenty of flash, plenty of vibrations. You can feel that through the rod tip while you're fishing them. You get that high vibration rate kind of feel to them. Best thing you're going to do if you put a trailer on the back, number one rule, always fish a trailer that's got a high vibration rate tail as well. All right, you want to try and match a chatterbait at the front, because it's such a high quick vibration rate. You don't want to match that with a shad that's got like a floppy kind of big tail, a big wobbly sort of body roll action. That's not what you want. You want slimmer lures with smaller tails, high vibration rate, so it matches the chatter at the front. Otherwise, it's just the front's going brrr and the back's going wobbling all around. It's just a bit of a mess. It just doesn't, you just don't get as many bites. If you match that trailer up with a small tail, so Shad T Slim's the one for me, 10 centimeters on a bait like that, absolutely brilliant for those springtime pike. Do as well, guys. A chatterbait has always got a tendency to come up in the water when you're fishing them, which can be fine. I like fishing them up in the water. The blade at the front makes them very weedless as well. You can actually fish them through weeds because the blade is almost like creating a little hole as it goes through the weeds, and the single hook just slides straight behind it. So you don't tend to get loads of weed on these, and you can, even if you do get a little bit of weed, you can feel it because the chatterbait stops vibrating, and often a couple of quick snaps on the rod, and as soon as you can feel that brrr again, you know you're back in business. So I absolutely love these when that weed starts coming up, as it will do fairly shortly. Really weedless. They tend to fish quite shallow. I do sometimes add a little bit of extra lead wire to them if I just want to keep them down a bit, or I don't want to fish super quick. Once we're into May, late April and May, I will want to fish these pretty quick. But now at the moment, you're going to get bites on these baits, but you might be a bit more medium than you will be fast. All right, so yeah, sometimes when you're fishing super fast though, you might want to put a little bit of extra lead on there, just helps them keep down a little bit more rather than riding up towards the surface. Moving on to spinnerbaits next. Now, there's two rules of thumb with spinnerbaits. The first one is fish natural colours, and you fish them quick as you can wind them virtually. Why? Because they look so unnatural. There's nothing natural looking about that. Often at this time of year, we're going to have quite clear water as well. So if you offer them at sort of a medium pace, you're going to get an awful lot of follows, because those fish, they won't just come and hit it. They'll come and inspect it to start with. And if it doesn't look very natural, which they don't, you'll get odd bites on them like that, but you won't maximize your day. You're definitely going to maximize your day fishing these nice and quick. Occasional pauses, but burning them, quick pause, don't pause for too long, just enough to let that skirt flare a little bit, and then back into the wind. All right, if you give them too long to inspect a spinnerbait, you will get follows without getting bites. For these ones as well, the quick ones are always going to be your willow blades. Nice thin blades. The opposite of that on the Monster Vibe here is your Colorado blades, your big round, what I call heavy thump blades. The reason I've got that in this colour, this for me is a deep and slow when I've got coloured water. All right, I want loads of thump from the double Colorado, and I want that bright colour to stand out in dirty water. So this for me is a river bait in sort of November-ish time, when the rivers might start coming up a bit and you've got plenty of colour. All right, in the springtime, don't fish those. You want to fish willow blades. You can fish them much, much quicker. And I tend to go for much more natural baits. Silver, a little bit of blue. I like a little bit of pink because it does stand out a little bit. But yeah, a little bit of silver, a bit of white, bit of grey, bit of blue, and a silver blade. Absolutely perfect for this time of year in the spring. One top tip as well, always put a trailer hook on the back. So what I'll do is I normally put about a 4mm bead, rubber bead, just hook that on, keeps that in place. But the reason that you want that is because I'll take that off. We've got, let's see if I can just get that skirt out of the way so you can see it. Now, if that blade is obviously going to be spinning round and round and round. When a fish comes up, he's either going to touch the blade, which is going to kind of get in the way, or he's got to get a perfect mouthful round this bit here. Okay, so adding a spinner bait trailer like that just allows, if you do get those follows or if those fish come up short on it, you're going to get a much better hook hold, and they haven't got to engulf the whole lure and then try and collapse that blade in order to get a hook up. They can come up at the back and you're going to get better hookup. So always put a trailer on. And then the last one, crankbaits. Absolutely love fishing crankbaits. Generally, like I said, shallow. I want to be targeting shallow bays where they're coming in and out of their spawning areas. Then the perch come in, then the bream and the roach come in. So they, like I said, they're going to stay up shallow for quite a long time. So typically I'm looking for little square bills. So I've got ones like the bass bite. Hang on, let me just grab one, if I can find one. So nice little shallow diving square bills like the bass bite. So running probably 2, 3, 4 foot deep through to bully bite, 7 centimeters. Nice little square bill as well. Runs about 6 foot deep, that one. And then I've got the raw bite. So for perch, massive fan of the raw bite. And then when it gets up to the 11 and 15 centimeter, the raw bite is amazing for pike fishing as well. Yeah, comes in a great variety of colours. Also at this time of year, even if you've got that clear water, don't worry about fishing actually quite leery colours. You know, the reason I've got these baits, they're all high vibration baits. They're all shouting, here I am, come and get me. You know, and sometimes those pike can be quite territorial if you're in and out of those kind of spawning areas. And you really need to, you know, once they get back on the feed as well, there's tons of fish in those areas. So there's loads of other food around. There's loads of invertebrates. There's other fry. There's, you know, everything's growing at this time of year. So you do need to have a standout bait. So like I said, even in clear water, if I was to fish a fire tiger, I have no problem with that as long as I'm fishing it damn quick. All right. So again, giving them too long to look at the lure looks totally unnatural. They're not going to have it. But if I'm fishing this super quick, occasional pauses, you're really appealing to that reaction strike. Sometimes they hit it out of territory. Sometimes they'll hit it out of just the fact that there's so many others around. I think they often think to themselves, you know, in that kind of shoaling mentality, if I think it's food, I haven't got time to inspect it too much. I've got to go and hit it. So make loads of noise, make loads of, you know, make big bright colours, got rattles in. Any of those like high vibration attraction baits are absolutely perfect at this time of year. All right, so get out there, guys. We are, just coming up to 1st of April, very soon. Really looking forward to being let out. Here in the UK, we're sort of allowed back out again fishing from 29th of, well, we're allowed to go fishing, but we can travel a bit further afield, and we can do, you know, loads more venues are going to open up, which is going to be brilliant. So, coronavirus, fingers crossed. We've seen the back of it, and we're seriously going to get back out there on our fishing. I know I've missed it tons, but yeah, oh God, just dreaming of it. It's great. Can't wait. Anyway, see you on the next one, guys. If you've got any comments, drop them in the comment section below. I'd love to hear what your favourite baits are at this time of year. But until then, tight lines. See you on the next one.